What's going on, everyone? I'm PokeHunterJeff. Welcome back to the channel where we like to look at market trends, raw, graded, sealed product. We want to make the smart plays. We don't want to FOMO. So if that sounds like something you want to do, then like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell below so you can follow along. But let's not waste any time. Today, we are looking at 10 cards that I have identified as criminally undervalued in this market. I don't see these getting much lower. You can already see the first one that I'm looking at. So taking the 10 spot is Bloodmoon Ursaluna from Twilight Masquerade. Good old Honey Bear. There is the second version of this card from Prismatic with the red moon in the back. It's super cool, but it is on a sort of a downward spiral right now. We don't want to catch a falling knife is what we don't want to do. I do think, we could be nearing a bottom for that, but I don't want to play the guessing game. This card has shown pretty good stability in this $35 to $37 range. It has decent sell-through volume. Twilight Masquerade, although it's in the same print block as Prismatic, so they'll go out of rotation at the same time, I don't think we're going to get much more product of Twilight Masquerade, whereas Prismatic will continue to be a focus for the Pokemon Company. They will continue printing that set as much as they can. I can't say the same for Twilight Masquerade, and the fact that this card is basically half the price of the other Bloodmoon Ursaluna, I think that's a screaming buy. Also, side note, huge fan of cards that include the other Pokemon in it. You've got the Teddy Ursas in here, the Cutie Fly buzzing around, the Munchlax here. He's digging honey. I think that it is a great art that's going to appreciate very well. That's why it got the 10 spot. I think it's a very safe play. Moving on to number 9, I'm talking about the Reshiram EX SIR from White Flare. I know that the black-white rares are extremely difficult to pull. They're super cool if you get to see them in person. I absolutely love those cards, and I think they will do very well. But they're also essentially their own rarity that got introduced into the hobby, and that's so new. There's not really enough data or information to go off of for those. I do think they'll do well, but what struck me about this card is that the Zekrom is $200. This is $150. It's at an all-time low. There are only 63 copies on TCG Player right now. That is pretty low. And it's indicative of, everything that I've seen with Black Bolt White Flare right now. Supply is so limited. In an era where Pokemon is printing as much as possible, Black Bolt White Flare could be considered short printed. We got heavy hitters boxes. We got as much product as I think they can pump out right now. But it's being ripped like crazy, and we're still only seeing that number of copies. It's super hard to pull. It's a great art. I think it's at an all-time bottom. We've seen a little bit of a bounce here with volume stepping in for $150, and actually you can get it cheaper. There are listings on TCG Player right now that are lower. Check out your local card shops. I guarantee you can find this for lower than $152. But that's why it got the 9 spot. I love this art. I love this card. Extremely undervalued right now. Taking spot number 8, Miraidon, and this is really a twofer. Miraidon and Koraidon, Pokemon Center, ETB promos, Scarlet and Violet base ETBs. I don't understand the price on these guys. These are the first, you have to understand, these are the first versions of Pokemon Center stamped ETB promos that we ever got. These were the first, and they will always be looked at as such. They're the legendaries from the games. There will always be nostalgia associated with them. And then what really sold it for me was the chart. So only 67 copies listed. That's a low number. And look what happened to this card last time the price got this low. Volume stepped in dramatically, and the price shot up from $49 to $101. It basically doubled in a month or two just from hitting this price. Will that same thing happen again? We can't be sure, but I do think it's pretty indicative that we're not going to be going lower than this. $53. I don't see it going lower, and the Koraidon chart looks exactly the same. Got down to this price, volume stepped in, it shot up and doubled in price. It's a little volatile. I'd like to see something with more of that steady growth, but sometimes you got to take a chance on some cards. That's why this is in the 8 spot, not higher on the list. But guys, these could absolutely explode. Scarlet and Violet base is going out of rotation in a couple of months. And that doesn't mean too much for the Pokemon Center versions, because it's not like they were going to drop more Pokemon Center ETBs anyway. But usually when that happens, all cards from the set go up in value. And I think that's exactly what will happen with these two. Moving into the, let's see, we're going into the 7 spot. We are looking at Sir Longneck himself, the Lightning Giraffe, Raging Bolt. I get it if you're not a fan of ancient future Pokemon, but I encourage you to see this card in person. The colors really pop on it. It's the top hit from Temporal Forces. There's really not much else to say other than that, guys. It's at an all-time low. Volume is stepping in. 114 copies listed, so a decent amount listed. But, it's in the same boat as Twilight Masquerade. Are they really going to do another big reprint of Temporal Forces? I highly doubt it. Usually the top card from a set does very well over time. When this is completely out of print, I think this is going to explode in price. Everyone's going to want to get their hands on it, and supply will diminish. All right, moving into number 6. We're looking at Ceruledge from Prismatic. So this is the first of 2 Prismatic cards I have on here. This card is absolutely flying under the radar. It's being overlooked for things like your Umbreon and your other evolutions in Prismatic. It's still just as hard to pull as those cards. It's an extremely cool art. And if you know Ceruledge from the anime, I mean, the dude is just a badass. Super cool Pokemon. Nice little double bounce situation here. And look what happened. Same thing basically as what happened with the Miraidon and Koraidon. When it got down to this price, volume shot way up, sent the price surging forward to, let's see, was it 137 from 92? That's a pretty good gain. It's been kind of leveled off at this price for a while, but with the gains we're seeing in Prismatic right now, and probably for the rest of the year, with everyone anticipating its rotation out next year, I think some of these singles are going to start to explode. We're already starting to see it in a few of the cards. This one hasn't quite hit that yet, so we're trying to jump in early before that happens. Now moving to number 5, we've got Latias from Surging Sparks. I love this card because it's super reminiscent of the Lovebirds. The Latios connects with it, the IR. It's even that same color scheme looking out at the sunset. If you're not a fan of this art, I get it, it's kind of plain, but if you know the Lovebirds card, it's very reminiscent of that. It's a top hit for Surging Sparks, and I really think the only reason it's down here at this price is just because of how much reprinting Surging Sparks got. It got a heavy reprint treatment, but I think we're pretty much done with that, guys. I don't see much more supply for Surging coming back on the market. It seems to me like they're focusing a little bit more on Prismatic, and then, of course, the newer sets from Mega Evolution, Phantasmal Flames, Ascended Heroes, things like that. Nice double bounce situation here. Every time it's got down to this price, people bought it up. I think you're starting to see a recurring theme with some of these cards, but what really sold me on the spot for this card was the light blue bar graph right here. 47 items sold in a week's time, the highest selling week it's had in over a year, and we're starting to see the price rise on it. TCG Player has the price at 169, but you can actually get it for about 160, 161, 162. I think that's a very fair price for this card, and I think it's going to start to see some explosive growth as Surging Sparks approaches the same timeline and rotation deadline as Prismatic. Next, we have Roaring Moon EX from Prismatic. This is the second card that we've chosen from that set. Ceruledge was the other, but I had to put this one 2 spots higher because I never like to use the word impossible, but I really think it is impossible that this card gets any cheaper. Look what happened last time it got down to 140. Market said, no, this is worth way more than that. It's a little bit higher this time, a little bit of a higher low at 150, and volume is ramping up as well. And the real kicker, there are only 42 copies listed on TCG Player right now. That is not a lot. That will get eaten up very fast. Prismatic is on the run right now. It will continue to do so for the rest of the year. And it's a Shinji Kanda art. If you get to see this card in person, it looks amazing. Shinji Kanda is, very highly regarded in the hobby right now and will continue to be. Insane artworks. Great Pokemon here. I'm not the biggest fan either of ancient Pokemon, but this one would probably be my favorite. I think this card is going to see some very explosive growth in the future, and I don't think it's going to stay at 150 for long. Next up, we have the Charizard from Obsidian Flames. If you would have told me that a Charizard SIR, a year ago was going to be going for 80, 90 bucks, I would have called you insane. That's what this is at right now. It was cheap. It was 60 bucks. It's already, built a higher floor, and that's exactly what we like to see. It shot up to nearly 120 bucks, built a higher floor right around these prices, and it's starting to make moves again north. Volume is ramping up. There's a lot of copies of this on the market. However, Obsidian Flames is rotating out in April. Usually when that happens, supply tanks, prices rise, and it's, one of the most favorite Pokemon to ever exist. That there's so much going for this card, guys. I had to put it in this spot. It's cheap, at least compared to a lot of the others on this list. It's not going to stay at this price for long. Very easy. That's all I have to say for that one. Taking the number 2 spot. I had to throw in a cheap one on here, but that's not why this got the number 2 spot. I don't understand the price on this. 151 is going absolutely nuts right now. You've got Giovanni, an extremely popular character from the original games, from the anime. All the details in this card are so cool. You've got the different Pokeballs in the display case behind him, the Master Ball sitting next to him, the Persian on his lap. I just think I think this card was 15 bucks. For that price, that was too cheap then. It's still too cheap now at $16. A perfect W shape right here. Double bounce situation. Volume is extremely high for this card. Yes, there's 197 copies on the market, but that's pretty normal when you get down to cards of this price range. But with how much, and look at the volume too. I mean, it's selling so much more. 87, 79, 147 in a week's time frame sold of this card. So only 197 currently on the market, and 75% of that got eaten up in 1 week. What do you think is going to happen in April when 151 is completely out of rotation? We've seen how it's exploding right now. It's being overlooked because of the explosive growth in the Blastoise and, Charizard and Venusaur and all those starter Pokemon. This card does not deserve to be $16. And the reason it took the 2 spot is because at this price point, it is extremely easy for this card to double to, say, $32, as opposed to like the Roaring Moon going from 150 to 300. I think very easily this card could be 30 bucks by the end of the year. I like it for that. Anything that could be a possible 100% return on your money, that's going to take the number 2 spot for me. Last on the list, number 1. It honestly was a toss-up for this and the Giovanni's Charisma, which is kind of crazy to think about considering how exclusive this card is. but I had to put it at number one. Eevee is just so much more popular. It's not insanely expensive. It's 65 bucks. And I don't understand how an Eevee Pokemon Center exclusive card can be $65 when the Miraidon, Koraidon are, 55. 10 bucks more for Eevee. You get a little Pikachu plushie featured in here, the Eevee photo in the background. I just don't understand the price on this, guys. It built a higher floor right here, but not too much higher. It was down at 50, 52, shot up to 115, and now it's settled around 64, 65 bucks. It is down 55% on the year. There are 91 copies listed. That will go quickly. Prismatic will age out here. It'll rotate out in April of 2027. Realistically, that's not that long. And I highly doubt we get more Pokemon Center ETBs dropped. If we do, great. I would love to try and pick up some more of those as well, because those are great buys. But I just think that Pokemon is spread very thin right now, and I don't think they have the option to do that. This is a card that I could see being 200 bucks by, end of next year. I honestly don't think that's crazy. I could be wrong on that. Maybe it only doubles, but here I am saying maybe it only doubles. Like, that's a bad thing. 100% return on your money in a year. I think that this card easily does that. I have so much confidence in it, and that's why it took the number one spot. But that's all I've got for you guys today. Those were my top 10 picks. There were a couple of doubles in there, but that's okay. Essentially, top 10 cards that I am seeing as criminally undervalued right now. If you watched all the way to the end, I appreciate it. This is something that we want to do here. We want to find the smart plays where we can, using the data that's available to us. So guys, if you want to track trends and chase tens and build a Pokemon collection with intention, then like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell below. Let's get hunting.